followers.
Apparently, the
That'll be
U.S.
our
Twitch
excuse.
servers don't like us anymore. They're like, we're exiling them to Europe.
That'll be our excuse this week why we don't have anybody watching.
Yeah, I'll start working to think of next week's excuse ahead of time. So
We suck. Oh, they'll never believe that.
pretty big week in gaming this year.
You could have fooled me the way my fucking bosses scheduled my work week. They didn't understand how important it was because I'm like booked through the rest of the week.
Yeah, that's how that always works. When you want more hours to pay for stuff, they don't have them.
Right.
And like the 1 week of this is the game that I think you've been looking forward to the most all year, isn't it?
Honestly, no. I mean, we'll talk.
Bloodborne, but
yeah, I for some reason I was really excited for Bloodborne, and that game just grabbed me immediately. And like, I'm still like, if anything has me excited for the rest of the year, it's that DLC. So Fallout 4 comes out, and I am a really big Bethesda RPG fan, but I can't tell if it's because I've played so many games this year that have been just fucking time sinks like that, where it's like you got The Witcher and Metal Gear and shit, and I'm just like in the mood to play something lighter. But what I started of Fallout 4 last night, I really didn't get into at all.
see, I think I'll be interested to see how long it grabs me. You're a little bit farther than me, but I don't think much. And part of that's because I restarted.
Oh.
But
I was gonna say, if you played any today, you probably surpassed me.
I decided I had to go back and make Morgan Freeman, and he's terrible. He doesn't really look like Morgan Freeman, except he's black and has gray hair. So,
see, I was about to go the other way and start over and just make a normal character because my Ray Liotta sucks. Fucking turns out Ray Liotta's like gigantic fucking 1800 tequila drinking head is very hard to recreate with their character creator, and so he ends up looking like that Dino Spumoni character from Hey Arnold.
Yeah, but at least we got a couple of celebrities playing our games.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed because there's the whole thing where the robot will say your name.
Yeah.
And there's a list of names, and Ray is under it, but I thought like they would constantly refer to you as your name, and instead like the actual dialogue, it's like, oh hey, it's you.
Yeah.
But like when it says your name, it's just sort of that like greeting that you don't even engage in, like hello, Mr. Ray, or whatever the fuck. And it's like, you know, I don't really feel like Ray Liotta. Like, my character sucks, and the game's doing a good job of not letting me be Ray Liotta, so it's kind of taking the fun out of it.
For me, my problem was when I gave up yesterday and just painted like a character that like superficially looked like me, but I didn't even spend that much time, so it really didn't look like me. And that just turned out to be like the most generic looking character you could possibly have, and it was just too boring. Like the thought of playing more as him, I'm like, no, I at least have to. Mine doesn't look like what I, Morgan Freeman, like I want him to, but at least he looks interesting.
Yeah,
and it looks pretty good. It's a pretty spot on recreation from like the back and the side, which is good because after the character creator, that's about the most you're gonna see of your character.
That's like if like Ray Romano and the fucking Michelin tire guy like had a kid, and like that's what my character looks like right now. Just fucking terrible.
I almost said something on Twitter, and I'm like, it's a little spoilery, but not so bad that I won't say it on the podcast. But I'm a little disappointed. I feel that the character creator in Metal Gear Solid 5 was better, and it was completely pointless.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like the character models look better in Metal Gear, so...
Yeah. You need to, just as an aside, you need to keep playing that fucking game. Mm-hmm. And depending on how Fallout turns out, you might go back to it. Who knows?
Oh, I fully plan on it, but anyway.
You said last night, like it was a weak opening for Fallout 4, and I completely agree. Like
It
I was
just
so I could not give any shit, and it felt like it really dragged. Like it didn't
it
just
was
throw you out into
weird
the
because
world.
the events, and I don't want to get into it because I don't want it to be too spoilery. It's not the spoiler cast, but
I feel
yeah,
like
I
you can
mean,
infer a lot because just from it being Fallout 4, though.
yeah, and that's what like the events themselves were rushed to get you to the actual game, so that left it like very hollow, like emotionally like vacant. Like I wasn't invested at all. But it did at the same time. I agree, it kind of dragged because you wanted to get to the actual game and you had to go through all this stuff. And I got to do it twice since I restarted, so that was fun.
Right. So, like, I think what I said was I don't think Bethesda can really the types of games they make and like the types of the amount of resources they have. I'm not sure they can actually make a personal story like that, like and make it really work well. I think they're kind of limited to sort of the you like at most like a vague "you're the chosen one" thing,
Right.
and that's what I liked about so much about games like Skyrim and stuff was there was a main story, but the game wasn't trying to just tell that story. It was, the world was what mattered, and the games understood that. So there's just a point in Skyrim where you just sort of you escaped from prison and like, hey, here's the world. And like, yeah, there is a main story going on, but you don't really have to do it. You're fucking free now. Um, in this game, they try to make it so like there's like kind of a revenge plot and shit, and not like in a New Vegas kind of way where it's like, oh, somebody shot you in the head, but you survived. Like I can relate to that, and that's pretty quick to like, okay, well, I want to find that prick, but I also need to go make money. And in this, it's like there's something it feels like you should be doing, but it sounds so goddamn boring
Yeah.
in comparison to everything else.
But at the same, see, I started to make some notes today on like the things I wanted to touch on Fallout, and then I'm like, yeah, it was almost like too daunting to like parse everything so far. Um, but all that stuff left me underwhelmed, and then you get into the game, and I can see it not being like super exciting because it feels like more Fallout, and you're kind of expecting something, I guess, evolved or more. And I know there's other gameplay stuff as far as building up your towns and whatever, but it feels really good once you get into it, and it feels like Fallout. And once I was out in the world, that all came back. Like the whole like that you're supposed to be going towards this objective, but there's a part of me that always wants to explore off to other areas. But at the same
Right.
time, you know how Fallout is. There's that huge risk that I mean,
Just
there's no
gonna get
barriers,
killed by a mosquito, which
right?
actually happened to me. Like
Those
as soon
fuckers are
as I
hard to
got out of
shoot.
yeah, everything is kind of hard to shoot in that game a little
Yeah,
bit. Like I feel partially misled because so many people said like, "Oh, this feels a lot more like a shooter now," and stuff. And it's like, not to me. It still feels like fucking Fallout. I need VATS every 2 seconds, and otherwise I'm gonna die. And when you run into just two mosquitoes eating a dead cow or something, like, and those bastards kill you, like that's embarrassing. Um, and then there's a part in the opening, like it really so far it's not clicking and it's not early enough to make an opinion, but um there's a part early on where you end up in some power armor and you fight a death claw,
yeah, and that's about right where I'm at. Like, I'm
and
supposed
that
to go get it.
is and I think I even said on the show that I thought it was kind of cool that they're making the power armor like a central thing and not just a late game reward. And I got to take all that back. Like to me, it feels way too soon to have it.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that because it feels like all you're going to be focused on all game is collecting power armor, and that's not
Yeah,
really how I play the game. I'm more sneaky,
I
rifle-y.
don't. Yeah, I don't know if you collect it, but it throws it at you right away, and it's kind of like it's like power armor to me is very situational, and kind of something that like I want to know my characters like built up to a certain level before I get it. Like I want to know I can handle the wasteland on my own. And then like when you get power armor, that's like kind of the last thing. Like that was really satisfying,
Yeah, and
I
I
thought in
think
Fallout 3.
yeah, Fallout 3 for me because I did end up using, like I said, I was more rifle, like so distance and kind of sneaky oriented. You know, once you open fire, the sneak's gone, but that's kind of
Yeah.
how I approached it. And then by the end, by the time you got the power armor, it was also for me at that point where it was like, okay, I'm enjoying this game, but I'm ready to wrap it up. Here's some power armor, sweet. Now I can just kind of like blast my way through stuff. Like it
Right.
fit in really well there. But
Yeah. And I kind of, this is where Metal Gear Solid 5 ruined other open world games for me. It like I want like stealth to have more than just like, oh, did you fire your gun? You're caught. Like I liked how, you could like if they didn't know exactly where you were, they didn't know where you were,
right.
like they knew the general area you shot from, but and that's how I like to approach fights and everything, but games like Fallout don't really lend itself to that because it's like, well, you get that's one good hit you get and then the gunfight starts.
Now I'm
Um
imagining like a Fallout Metal Gear hybrid though.
and God, that would be a fucking good game.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, they're halfway there already. This game has helicopters in it that you fucking fly away in, so why the hell not?
Yeah.
Give me my own
I just
helicopter, give me a
need
one-eyed
a
dog.
button so you can make your dog poop on command, and
That's the
there you
other
go.
thing. This dog is not fucking D-Dog, and it's pissing me
Oh,
off.
so far everybody loves the dog, but he's just got in my way. And then like one mosquito comes flying by and the dog goes running off after it and you're like, "Where the fuck are you going?"
Yeah, there's no goddamn self-control. He gets fucking killed every 2 seconds, and it's like, give him a stem pack. And it's like, I'm not, why
These are
would I
my
give him
stim
a stem
packs,
pack?
yeah.
Yeah, get your own goddamn stem packs. And that's something I think in terms of companions, like I feel like that's the better way to handle it. Was also in Metal Gear where your dog could get hurt, but that just would affect his loyalty to you and stuff, and you had to build up that trust again. Like I don't want to manage a completely unreliable companion's health. Like
Yeah, and I don't know if it changes, but at this point there's two things you can tell it to basically like it's follow you, but it's not because if anything distracts it, it's off after it or sit in like one spot.
right.
There's like no stay close to me or be quiet or no, like I said, maybe that evolves. I don't know. I'm at the point where you just found the dog. Why would the stupid thing listen to
Yeah.
you? I've had my dog for
Yeah,
10 years and she doesn't listen to me. But
right. But I think and I mean maybe I shouldn't jump on it because I don't quite understand how all that works yet either. I don't I got the power armor. I don't know how to take it off. Like I tried to unequip it like clothing and he unequips it, but he keeps like the entire goddamn frame of the power armor on. And it's like I just want to look normal. Like yeah.
so you still have it on, but then you don't do you not get like the bonuses from it if you unequip it or
You like the armor's gone. Like you're completely visible, but there's a framework, I guess,
oh, I see.
underneath the power armor when you jump into it. And I can't figure out how to get that off. And of course, manuals are for dicks.
Oh,
So all you
those
get in the game case is one slip that tells you the basic controls, but not how to take
yeah.
anything off. Um, I'm sure if I grind it out a little bit, get past this opening stuff, I'm sure I'll find that like breakthrough to where I'm in the world and like the
Right.
game starts clicking for me and stuff. Because honestly, that's how New Vegas was. I didn't get into New Vegas right away at all, but once you sort of break through the first few barriers, like that game really opens up to you. Um, but right now it's really like I feel like this game's making it a lot harder than other Bethesda games. Just like I don't want to hear my fucking dumb character talk. I don't really want to hear any of the other characters talk because they're so Like they're so vanilla.
Yeah.
Like just like the first character you meet before the power armor stuff, it's like, of course he'll be your buddy because he's the first person you meet. It's not a wasteland hellhole at all that would turn men into monsters. Of course, the first guy you meet will be your buddy.
Well, but you helped him out. I mean,
You helped him out, but you helped him out, and he was also a good guy doing good things. Like they had a little sanctuary thing, and maybe they'll change it. Maybe they'll completely make me look stupid, but I for some reason that was like the last thing I wanted was to get out into the wasteland and then like, hey, I'm your buddy. Like welcome to a hellhole.
well, but New Vegas started kind of that same way. That first little town right outside the vault, where everybody just
Right. And I'm not saying other games don't do this and other games I love don't do this. I just feel like I'm at a point where that is such a like I feel like I'm just going through the motions of the same video game story I've played millions of times.
don't
You
worry.
know?
It'll turn out that he's like a baby rapist or something, and you're just helping him evade the law.
Yeah, do that. Fucking A. Like let me fucking shoot a goddamn real monster who's been hiding under my nose the whole time. Like a death
I
claw's just actually acting natural.
The last thing that happened in my game was that I was clearing out that museum area, and right before you go and talk to the guy that you're talking about, like I'm gonna go through my inventory and like check out all the stuff that I've looted off these people I've been killing, because loot's loot.
Why the hell not?
Right, at this point you don't have anything, so something's always better than nothing. And I didn't realize that you would have like pieces of armor, like in addition to your clothes, you can get like a chest armor and arm armor and like leg pads. And so I equip them, but for some reason it automatically unequipped my outfit. And I didn't realize it.
So your guy was just like,
Yeah,
fuck.
I enter the cutscene and they're talking. And they're like, "Oh, thanks for helping us." And it scrolls over to me, and I'm like in armor and boxers. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you're not concerned with the fact that I'm basically running around naked with like improvised armor on.
Yeah. After I killed the Deathclaw and I didn't know how to get out of the power armor, you can go into dialogue wearing the armor, but it's really funny because the camera doesn't quite do it right. And I don't know if I could recreate it, but it's like, it's really like zoomed in, but kind of like, just tell me what I need to know. It's just like that type of shit. And it's like, how do I get out of here? Could you open the suit up?
I love that it does like the standard, not standard, but the old like dialogue tree thing of Mass Effect. Like 2 was really bad for this, or 1 maybe, where you get 4 options, and sometimes you'll pick one that's just like, it'll say, "Oh, what's going on?" And you're like, "Okay, yeah, I want to know what's going on." So you pick that, and it's like, "What the fuck's going on, you stupid asshole?" And you're like, "Whoa, that's not how I meant to react."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it really has that going on. And that's kind of annoying because I was trying to play as Ray Liotta and I'm trying to talk the way Ray Liotta would talk. And he wouldn't just automatically start yelling like a fucking monster. Like Ray Liotta would be straight up gangster about it. Like, I don't need your fucking vault. Go away. Ding.
right.
But instead, it's like, get the fuck off my property. It's just like really, he's like arguing with his wife, but they love each other
Yeah.
somehow. That's the other thing I don't buy in the whole motivations is like you can't just like I think all video game stories uh are like you can't just say, hey, this is your family and expect me to have like that instant attachment
Yeah,
because it's like
and that's the very problem, is they're banking on that attachment. It's like I could
I don't
those
fucking
characters
feel
were
anything
in the
for 'em.
game for 30 seconds. Like
Yeah. Like and it's a baby, so there's a baby involved. So you know me, I like that somehow not giving a shit doubles down for me, where it's like fucking baby couldn't possibly care less.
you know what was a really cool touch, and this is a minor thing, but of course, since I made Morgan character, my character's black, but I didn't bother like screwing with the wife character, because why, I already spent like a half hour working on my character. I want to play the game. So then the baby,
Again, I
but so then when I went and played it, the baby's like tone is somewhere between the two. Like it's And I don't know why. I mean, obviously that makes sense. It's both of your baby, but it's something that I would have never even like thought
Yeah,
of.
that's impressive.
But
My face was clearly like some sort of Italian preset, like a very Italian looking character. And when I went through it manually, I pilled him up a bunch and stuff because Ray Liotta has no tan whatsoever. Um, but then, like when I looked at the kid was fucking completely different shade from me and the mother. He was like he looked orange, like a goddamn carrot. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think of anything I liked about it so far.
I
Um,
that's the thing is I'm not disliking it, but it's not. I wasn't sitting at work all day like, man, I can't wait to go play it. Other than I wanted to be home and not at work. But
exactly.
it was the
Yeah,
first thing I
I
did when I
think
got
it's
home. So
yeah, I think it's yeah, I think that game's gonna take some time compared to other Bethesda RPGs. Honestly, part of it is I found a mode in NBA 2K16 that I actually enjoy,
wow.
and it's the Spike Lee living the dream mode,
See, I
which
figured it would be some mode that just lets you watch actual NBA games.
yeah. Well, this is kind of like that. Um, like you make your character and his his nickname and what they call you in games is Freak, FREQ. Um, for short for your nickname all your life, frequency vibrations. And no matter what your character is, like no matter what you make them, I did my best to try to make a NBA 2K16 representative of me. But no matter what you do, yeah, you have black parents and you have a twin black sister, which I thought was hilarious. A lot of people have actual problems with that. I think it's funny as fuck. Watching my character try to like talk black, like like just just like real like a real Spike Lee movie thing. Like I did not know I was so good at acting that I could pretend to be a Spike Lee character. Um, like honestly, the whole story in that mode is fucking terrible. It's really bad and it's really long-winded. Like cutscenes just don't end in that game. Like you play a game and then your character has a meeting with a goddamn evil NBA owner who's white because and it's always that over the top white evil, not like real evil white people in America. It's like like ho ho ho, I own you type white person, and I perfect character. Um, and every character you meet who wants to like cash in off your character's success is that same character, and they don't shut up. They just go on for like 10 minutes about like, man, that's dope. I'm going to tell all my friends at the country club that line you just said, my homie. And they don't stop. And it's like, man, you need to get rid of all your friends from the hood so you can make that bank, dog. And it's like telling them like clearly evil shit, but in like the most awkward, cringeworthy way. And so it's kind of amusing on that way, but most of the time you're just like, shut up. I just want to like play a career mode
Yeah.
because that's actually I think it's a lot. That game's a lot more fun when you have to let go, when you can't control your entire team. So you just control your one player and
See,
focus on that player's success.
for probably the last 4 or 5 years, anytime I play a sports game, that's how I have to play it. It's like I want to be one of the players on the team, not controlling the whole team. It, it's one of the we've talked about it before. I think one of the cooler things that's happened with modern sports games is they've almost turned into like a sports RPG if you play it from a career mode. And those are about the only modes I like, because then it's like about building up your players, like, well, career, obviously, getting on the best team, winning championships. But you can really identify with your one player rather than I just have this whole team here and it's the Browns
Yeah.
and they suck.
Yeah, and I kind of like working like the game starts you in high school and you have to play like a few games in high school and like you have all the input so it's kind of up to you like how well you play. Um and I dominated high school and then I got to college and I was this big, like a hyped up signing and I lost like it only lets you play a few games of like those seasons, but I lost 3 of the 4 games as you play in college. Um but I played well in the last 2. So and then that affects your draft positioning, which I think is kind of neat. Like it's kind
Yeah.
of neat to like me and my brother are talking like, well, when did you get drafted and by who? And he got drafted at like number 15 in the first round. I got drafted at like 22. I got to go to the Chicago Bulls. He got to go to the Atlanta Hawks. So the message is don't try too hard, or you might end up on a fucking bad team.
Right.
Actually, I think the Hawks are all right now, but their uniforms aren't. Jesus Christ. Um, and now I'm at a point in that game where I'm the backup point guard. So you have to play like the bench role and you have to like work your way up and
Right.
somehow make an impact with limited minutes. And like that's really satisfying. So like when you have a good game when it's like, oh, I only had 3 assists and 1 basket, but for the amount of time I played, that's good. And you might get more time if something goes down. And according to my brother, and I haven't beaten it yet, so I don't know. But according to him, once you're like after 1 season, the Spike Lee bullshit stops, and then you can just keep playing your character and
So
keep
like
growing.
that stuff's all just about like getting into the league.
Yeah, and fighting the pressures of success and white people who want to take your money.
Yeah, it's true. I want to take everybody's money, like
Yeah,
regardless of race, but
yeah. I mean that's what white privilege is a really vindictive desire to take everybody's wealth.
mm-hmm. That's the first thing I think when I wake up every morning. Whose wealth can I
It's
take
kind of
today?
like it's kind of like the lion, how the lion has that desire to eat things inferior to it. That's
Oh, so
just
now you're saying that we are superior. Hmm.
I'm saying we're superior to gazelles.
Oh, wow. I don't know. Even that I might argue,
That's true.
but so I finally started playing Skyhill. We talked about it for like 5 seconds back when we were doing our horror stuff, and
Right.
I was kind of surprised that you were even kind of like familiar with it. You knew what it was anyway. It,
That's news to me because I honestly don't remember it at all now.
it's like a the premise is, and it's a really simple game, and it's when you were talking about earlier wanting to play something that's not a huge time sink. I was like, well, that was Skyhill for me last weekend. But it's point and click, but kind of a different. It's not like a point and click adventure where you're screen hunting for keys to use for this or that. But you start on the 100th floor of this hotel. It's like the luxury suite when this viral bionuclear war thing breaks out and turns everybody to mutants. And the whole goal is to get from the top floor down to the bottom. And along the way, you'll find just things to salvage and make new weapons, but there's mutants that you have to fight, and it's all turn-based fighting. There's no like dodging or active movement. You just click like you can either just click in general on the enemy and do just kind of a an attack that it just automatically calculates your chance to land and the damage you do, or you can do like a more you can click a button and then focus on like one of 3 zones, like the head does more damage but you only have a 50% chance to hit it, and that kind of thing. So it's real basic, but the whole thing is you're going to die. I assume that you can eventually like unlock enough perks or whatever to make it down to the bottom, and then I don't know what happens. But I don't know. I mean, it's just like the most simple thing, but it was really interesting. It's really different, and it was kind of relaxing. Like you don't have to think that hard. Like you are constantly like every room that you explore takes away like one food point, so your hunger's always building the more you move. So you don't want to like you want to try to minimize backtracking and that kind of thing. And then of course when you fight you get hurt, so you have health. So you do have to manage like, do I want to use these things that I've scavenged to make health items, or upgrade my kitchen to make better food items, or do I want a better weapon? So there's a little bit of strategy there, but it's very simple. If it's not on mobile devices, I'd be shocked, because it's that like one mouse button input. You got your cursor and you click. So I don't know, but it surprised me with how much I enjoyed playing it. Like, I meant to do it as part of the Halloween streaming for October, and we kind of quit streaming. And this weekend I was just looking for something different. I was looking through my Steam library instead of being stupid and like buying something again, and I noticed it there, so I played it and I liked it. Skyhill.
Nice.
I guess I will say though, because I think I said it on Twitter, it's really fun. It's really simple. I've been playing on easy, but you still don't make it out alive on easy. But for what it is, I think the price tag is like $15, and I don't know that it was worth that. Like
There's a free demo, I think, on Steam for it, so people can pick that up and probably.
My concern
decide if
was
that's worth
even
the
like
value.
as much as I was enjoying it, I don't know that there's enough replay there to warrant that. I don't know, and we've talked about it before. It's not like our default criticism, like this game's not worth $5 or whatever. But there are times when you play something, and you're like, I don't know if I'd want to spend 15 for that.
Yeah, like the Binding of Isaac got like a remake or whatever, I think, and I think they're selling it for like $10 or something. And to me, that's for some reason, even though I'm playing the fuck out of the original every night, to me, it's like, that's insane. $10. I'm entitled.
Well, and it's one of those things where you have to separate, because then people are like, well, you're an asshole. The developers deserve money. It's like, well, yeah, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying,
I'm saying I'm broke, man.
Chefs deserve money. That doesn't mean I'm going to pay $40 for like a McDouble or whatever. They still have value, like a certain amount of value.
A $40 McDouble has to be the biggest
like
damn.
I just kind of made it up. It sounds like a thing you could order.
I think they just have a double cheeseburger.
I bet if you said McDouble, they'd know what you're talking. Well, probably. Well, they'd know what you're talking about.
They have a McChicken.
Yeah, you'd get a double chicken sandwich, and that would be pretty sweet. That I might pay 40 for. No, I still wouldn't.
Nah. Their chicken sandwiches suck.
Yeah, that's not what I don't know. I don't go there, period, that much, but
I've been going there a lot since they have all day breakfast, and more than any doctor would recommend.
Yeah, like once a month is about the most a doctor would recommend, but
to be fair, their breakfast menu is better, both usually from a health standpoint and just taste standpoint. It's way better than any of the other shit they serve. So, at least there's reasonable options there. Instead of being McDonald's bad, it's just fast food bad.
Right.
But yeah, I've never liked their chicken. Yeah, their burgers always fucking try to kill me. Like I eat one and I'm down.
See, they don't usually do that to me, but there's a lot of places that do. And I think we've talked about it before. The like more you don't eat it, the worse it affects me when I do.
Yeah. That actually has happened to me with Jack in the Box. Like we talked about it on the show, where like I would have Jack in the Box and it would just fucking kill me. I would feel like such garbage afterwards.
And the dumb thing is you still eat it. Like
right. But now I've like eaten it so much I don't feel that anymore.
Built your tolerance back up.
Yeah, my heart's like realizing like, oh shit, I have to work overtime to make up for this, and I'll pay for that pretty soon, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, no, like Jack in the Box was the big one. McDonald's I'd never really tried to eat too often before they had breakfast all day. Wendy's was probably the big one for me that I can't stop fucking eating at. No matter like somehow even when I have food in the fridge and it would take me like 5 minutes to fix something up, I'm like, spicy chicken sandwich sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
And then like it's like, man, do you have no self control? But I guess in my head it's like I'm gonna eat like shit whether it's here or there. Like I don't make good food for me at home. Like
Funny is how when I moved here, I moved. We're like in town now. McDonald's is maybe 5 minutes. And when I say McDonald's, I mean every like McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Taco, whatever. It's all maybe 5 minutes away tops. Yeah, but I where I lived before, it was like 30 minutes each way to get to anywhere, and so it was like, wow, it's convenient. We're gonna eat out all the time, and we did because it was convenient. And now I'm back to like the lazy, like I don't want to get in my car and go all the way over there.
yeah.
But my parents moved to a place that like you could almost walk to the nearest fast food place, and I was like, man, if I lived there, I'd be in trouble. So like it's convenient until you like get used to it, and then you're like, nah, that's too much work.
Well, I have a really unhealthy relationship to food, and it's not like, oh, good food, like a nice restaurant or something. Like I like shitty food a lot of the time. And something I realized, like I kind of had like a rock bottom moment like a month ago where it was just like I had been eating fast food so regularly, just terrible food for you night after night. Just, and I have like my rotation of like four places I eat at. And I exhausted that so much that I was like, I don't even like this shit anymore. So, like, and not like, oh, I'm gonna go eat healthier stuff. It's like I don't even like food anymore. Like, I like eating. I like, like it's a very raw sort of like just put material in my mouth, which can be taken out of context or in context depending on your
Yeah.
interpretation of me. But like I just like people like will be like, well, what should we have for dinner? And I'll be like, I don't care, just food. Like just you shit on a plate and just put it in the microwave, and I'll probably not even notice.
Yeah.
That was a weird digression,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it ends with me eating shit. So appropriate.
And I say
Um,
I didn't know where to go with that because you pretty much summed up everything. Yeah.
you summed up the world, man.
Mm. No, that's how I am at work sometimes. It's like you're not even hungry, but you just want food. Which it helps when that happens to me at work because I don't have it around. So then,
The
whatever.
problem is I eat with other people, and I manage to like I'm not a very decisive person to begin with, but I manage to surround myself with people who are just as indecisive as I am, and it's like I don't want to fucking choose for you. Like just I if it was just me, I can make up my mind what I'll eat. But if I have to like pick for someone else, it's well, what do you want? You gotta want something. Like and then like it's always that thing of like, well, all right, fine, fuck it. No one wants to decide. I'll put my foot down. I'm hungry for this, and then I don't want that.
I know that's the
And
most
it's like,
frustrating thing in the
and
world.
it's like, motherfucker, what do you want?
Uh, yep, that I think that's like the most common thread to the human condition. We probably could get rid of all like racism and um, sexism and just every kind of ism if we'd all realize that we all equally share a desire to not pick where to eat.
If we all agree that there is no privilege in deciding where to eat,
That's what they say. You always have to find like a common thread with somebody, and I think that's it.
yeah,
Although I take that I do know people that are the opposite, and that's almost equally as annoying when like they insist on going somewhere even though nobody else in the group wants to go there.
yeah, like sushi is a very like specialty thing where it's like I've had that happen where you're hanging out with friends and it's like, oh man, let's get sushi. It's like, can't we just like kind of want real food, you know?
Yeah.
Like sushi is good as kind of a weird sort of like to me it's almost like a snack thing.
Right.
Like eat like it's less about like actually eating the food and more like trying shit, you know. And I don't like to me if you like say, "Hey, we're going out to eat." Like, "Cool, where are we going?" Sushi. Fuck. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's when we like it a lot, but yeah, it's difficult because it's one of those things where if you eat enough of it to get full,
you're
that's
probably
some
going to die.
right, exactly. I mean, that's something that you just don't want that much of. But that's where you
Really-
supplement it. Be like, yeah, we'll go get sushi, but we're bringing burgers in with us too. That's like my side.
Yeah, I think it's weird that there are solely sushi places. Like,
Ours, and it took me a while to come around to this because in my mind they're almost like two clashing kinds of food. But ours does sushi, but they also do that like hibachi, um, almost like the Japanese steakhouses or whatever, where they cook it in front of you, but they don't cook it in front of you. They're cooking it back in the kitchen. But you can like split an order of that, which is real food, like with some substance to it, and then get some
yeah.
sushi so you can try it. And then, but
Yeah, sushi to me is really like just an appetizer
mhm.
thing. And like if it's set up like that, that's cool. But I know there are places where it's just like a rotating thing of fucking sushi on a conveyor belt. And it's like, I want a fucking burrito, man.
the
I don't
best
want to like pick at this shit.
the best is when they always show the people sitting there with their chopsticks and like, oh, I want that, and they'll like pick it up with that, and I'm like, if that was me, that'd be like the biggest like, oh, I'll pick it up with, oops, I missed it, oh, and then you'd just be like knocking all this shit off the conveyor belt, and you're like, I guess I'm having all this.
Yeah. It's,
I'll tell you one of the funniest experiences and like most awkward in my life when first time we went to Boston for PAX. It was the Thursday before. You know, we flew in on Thursday so we could get our passes and get into the hotel and all that. And we had never been to Boston. So after we got all settled in, we started just, exploring the city, and we came across Chinatown, which is, actual Chinatown. And we were like, well, this looks like a cool place to eat, but it's not like I mean, it's still probably a little, it's Americanized, but it's actually, there the Chinatown's not like just this touristy, like here's Mark Pies. It comes
yeah.
from the fact that there were a bunch of Asian or Chinese immigrants living in Boston, working, and that
Right.
was the burg that they kind of settled in. So all these shops are like actually, like ducks hanging from the windows and that stuff. And we settled on, or we had asked somebody which of the restaurants was a good one to go to, and they sent us to I can't even think of what it's called now, where you get the raw meat and you dip it in the hot oil to cook it. Um,
Oh, yeah.
we had never been to a place like that though. So we go in and we're like, we don't know how to order. And once it comes out, we're like looking at the shit like, what do we do with it? And at one point, we're kind of like looking at it like, and we're having fun and the food was good. But I looked up and realized that at that moment, we were the only non-Asian people there. And everybody else was obviously like they're just like doing their stuff, whipping through the food and putting, this and that and doing this. And we're both like sitting here like, what the fuck do we do? And, and then I realized that everybody was kind of looking at us too. And it's like, well,
What
this
a
is
what
uncomfortable. But
the
then like,
fucking prick who sent you there. Like, what an asshole. Like, it's like two fucking clear tourists. It's like, I'm gonna send you to a place where like it's a goddamn, you need a list of instructions on how to eat.
Yeah. But fortunately, like that awkwardness lasted for like a few minutes, and then like a group of students, because there's of course a bunch of colleges there in Boston, came in and they were a little more familiar with it, but they were. It, it kind of
Louder
evened
about
out
it.
the atmosphere to where we weren't like such complete like idiot outsiders, and but it was good. It was really good food.
Yeah. I don't I would respond really poorly in that situation. Like just yelling like, "Well, here in America, we don't have to cook our food at the fucking table."
This meat costs how much, and you don't even fucking cook it? Where's my fries?
Fries come to you. There's fucking $1.99. They're already hot for you. You don't have to make them hot. God damn it.
Like I remember when you order, like you just pick different cuts of meat and vegetables, and then it's like, oh, well, do you want the hot broth or the hot oil or the hot? And I'm like, yes, like whatever the stuff we already ordered requires, like just bring that.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then it's a fuck, and that's how you end up with just like a tuna's head staring back at you
yeah,
from your table.
like a Christmas story. It's smiling at us. But it was fun, and I love Boston. It's weird because people I know that like just like through work, but like not real close. Like two or three different ones in the last couple of weeks of like, oh, when are you going back to that video game? Well, one person called it Comic Con, and I didn't bother correcting them. I'm like, yeah,
Is that all you said? Ugh.
yeah, I probably made that noise, but and nothing against Comic Con, but that's not what they're two completely different things. Um, But the weird thing about two or three people asking, they ask like, "Oh, did you go this year, or has it already been?" And I'm like, "We haven't been in like 3 years. Like we went a couple years in a row, but it's been a while."
Yeah.
Plus, it's kind of like rubbing salt in that wound because it's one of those things that we loved and we'd love to do again, but just haven't don't had the like the money or the time.
Right.
That's like that'd be like somebody coming up and being like, "Oh, have you bought that new house yet?" And you're like homeless. Like, no.
Ugh. I'll just be my response anytime somebody asks a question that like not even a question that like they're stupid to ask, but a question I just don't like the automatic answer to. So I'm just gonna be like, ugh,
How about that weather day? Ugh.
ugh,
Now I'm
fuck.
picturing you though, or with our prior conversation, you pull up at a drive-through and be like, "Oh, what would you like to order?" And you're just like, "Ugh."
That's how I feel sometimes. Like,
Here's the real. You talked about rock bottom. Here's the weirdest one for me is when you've been to a place so many times, you pull up, and they
and
like
they know
know it.
you.
Yeah, because that's almost like I'm never coming back here again. Like
Yeah.
the McDonald's
And I
drive-through lady shouldn't know who I am.
there was a girl at this was years and years ago, but there was a girl at McDonald's who part of why I kept eating there was because she was cute and she was always working there. And then like she got familiar with me, and then I realized like she knew my order, and so I like from the drive-through, I like you could pull up and like she she would already know what I wanted, and then I would be like, well, I can't come back here
Yeah,
because
well,
now I just look like a fucking slob.
and here's the other problem with that, especially if it's someone like you said that you think is cute or whatever. There's always that time when you're in the mood for that's not like your normal, and you get there and they're like, "Oh yeah, you want your normal," and they start ringing it in, and then you're like, at that like, should I just be
Nope.
like, "Yeah, I'll just go with it" because I don't want to make you feel bad and like correct you, or you're like,
Yeah,
"Nope," but
yeah.
whatever.
I've never had that like real like the usual thing besides like just when like she was starting to get familiar with me, like she never knew exactly what I wanted. She was never like, "Here you go," but it's like she could have made a guess, and I was just like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
this is too close for comfort. I gotta."
What helps me in that we go to the movies every Tuesday night. I've talked about that on the show because they do $5 movies on Tuesdays, And then afterwards, we go to Applebee's because they're the one place in town that's open late. I hate going someplace within like 30 to 45 minutes of closing just because I know how the restaurants are.
Well,
If they've already started like cleaning up and breaking down, the last thing you want is a group of people to show up and like,
yeah, like a restaurant is a real like. I mean, I've done it, but I would get something to go or something
yeah,
like.
well, and that's what, like, if it was a fast food and you were doing like drive through or something, it wouldn't bother me so much. But sitting down like at an actual where you're going to ask them to prepare
Yeah.
some kind of meal. But anyway, my point is we go to Applebee's every week pretty much after the movies. So we've gone there over the past year enough that we know every single like waiter and waitress that works at least Tuesday nights at Applebee's. But I order something different almost every week because I like to try different things. So I don't have like my
And maybe one of those things will be good because it's from fucking Applebee's.
So the only usual I have, and I don't really care that they know it, is I almost always get a Long Island iced tea because they're on sale after 9 o'clock, and it's alcohol.
Yeah.
So they pretty
That
much
was a
they pretty much know I'm going to order. Although I don't always get it, but I almost always do.
it wasn't a Long Island iced tea, but I remember I probably talked about it on the show when it happened, but like I remember getting that John Daly at a restaurant, which was like a half and half. It's an Arnold Palmer, but
Yeah,
with vodka, and it's fucking amazing.
yeah,
It tasted so good, and one of them got you drunk, and that is a plus in my book.
you're right. Because that's cheap. When you need like six
Yeah,
of something to do the job, or eight,
uh,
that's too much.
but it's one of those like drinks that like, and restaurants in general are usually pretty good about this. Like they have it all measured out to where it's like you're not going to be a problem, but it's enough alcohol to make you kind of want more.
Yeah,
And it's that great kind of feeling where it's like you drink it and you're talking and you feel fine. And then like as soon as you stand up to go to the bathroom, you realize you're having kind of a really good time. Like just how your feet respond to the floor. You're like, okay, this
yeah.
is
When you turn to your friends and
shit.
say, "Whoa, did anybody else feel that earthquake?" Then you,
Hey, shit got cool all of a sudden.
yeah. Which is fine and good as long as you don't have to drive home. We do not condone
Yeah.
drinking and driving on NJoystick, even though I am from Ohio, where our starting quarterback just got busted for drinking and driving. Yay him!
Well, he condones that.
1 week after winning the starting job back, so that was fucking cool.
Yeah. Well, he condones that. Our show doesn't. Like, in fact, like, it's because of that feeling of like getting off the bench and being like, oh shit, I'm drunk. That like my friend was driving one time. We have these drinks. We only have one each. And we get off the bench and they're like, as soon as he stands up, my friend's like, we're gonna have to walk around for a little bit.
Yeah,
So we just, walk around town a little and just like, yeah, turns out this shit gets on top of you quick. And that's why you're willing to almost throw your football career down the drain for it.
yeah. Well, that's what I give him shit. It was a bad mistake. You should never get in a car when you've been drinking. But in his, not really defense, but at least he was barely over the limit. Like he was basically right at it. And
That's pretty impressive.
yeah, well, and that's
How
what he
much?
said. I mean, he apologized for it. He accepted it. He pled guilty and all that stuff. But he basically said he's like, I didn't realize that I would. He's like, I didn't feel like I was drunk. Um, now the flip side of that was how he got caught is he drove into a DUI checkpoint and he tried to like back out, I guess, and go around it, and that doesn't work. That basically just makes sure they're going to flag you for. I don't know if you guys do checkpoints out there in Washington, but
Um, I have not seen them. I'm sure we do,
yeah.
but I've never seen them.
It's one of those stupid things where here they'll do them, and what they do is they basically just pick a road and a time. It's always at night because that's when you're gonna catch the most people drinking and driving. And they'll just say, every car that passes through here, they'll narrow it down to one lane if it's multi-lane, and they'll have a bunch of cops, and they'll flag like every third car. They have to do it unless you're like clearly like you're taking out the cones as you're coming up to it. They just do it not really randomly, but like every third car, so they're not like profiling or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
here it's kind of the more often that you see it, it's kind of more like the running of the bulls, where like downtown, all the bars, like once they start closing up, cops are just all
yeah,
around it, and then it's like, all right, bars closed, and then like cops are like, all right, let's get them,
yeah,
and they all
yeah.
try
No,
to
these
do.
checkpoints they actually physically set up a checkpoint, but I guess by law they have to in advance announce the checkpoint when and where it's going to be. And it's like, well, that's effective. Like, so if you get
Well, drunk
caught,
people are so
I was going to
stupid;
say, if
they're
you
not
get
gonna.
caught drunk driving at a checkpoint that's been announced when and where, then you really, really deserve the ticket. Granted,
Yeah,
it's not like they skywrite it out. It's like in the newspaper, like, oh, by the way, we're going to do this then.
is that
But
all you get for a DUI? Is it just a fine?
no,
Like
it depends on the
Donovan
judge.
McNabb. Donovan McNabb's doing 18 days in jail because of it. Like he's had a bunch of them. So
JT Barrett for Ohio State, he's the quarterback that got caught, obviously. From what I remember, he has to go to like alcohol awareness classes and he loses his license for 180 days or something like that. Of course, there was football consequences that have nothing to do with the law, and of course, and the fine and court costs and all that stuff. Um, and it affects your insurance, of course, because now you're high risk, and so I mean, it's a bunch of stuff. I mean, they can. I don't know if I think they can give you like jail time, but it's usually like 2 or 3 days for your first one, and then once you get 2 or 3 or whatever, then the consequences definitely go up. Although my favorite was a 2 or 3 years ago here at our highway patrol post, a guy got arrested for his 17th DUI, but the circumstances were wonderful because his son had got arrested for DUI, and he was at the sheriff's the highway patrol like outpost there. That's where they had him. And so the dad came to pick the son up. Well, dad was drunk. And he was so drunk that when he pulled in to pick the son up, he pulled into like the yard instead of like he missed the parking lot altogether. So it was very easy to catch him. But yeah, that was like his 17th DUI. And the funny part is, of course, then everybody gets in the newspaper comments section and they're like, that's bullshit. He's 17 DUIs. Why the fuck does he even still have a license? Well, he doesn't have a license. But if he's driving drunk and getting caught that many times, he doesn't care about driving. I don't know anybody that's like, I'll drive drunk, but not without a license.
that's probably the mentality is like I could drive however I want. I got this card that says I can drive.
I like that we both like automatically go to like southern accents too.
Well,
Take that south.
that was me trying to go for more like a frat boy
Mm.
like thing, but instead it ended up coming out like fucking plantation owner. If I couldn't be
Yeah.
more racist, this show. Holy shit.
We're just picking up where we left off last week. But oh, how
That's
long?
all right, officer. I'm the real Colonel Sanders.
If I was a cop and I pulled the real Colonel Sanders over, I think I'd let him go. Like
I
unless he
fucking
just took,
wouldn't.
if unless he just took out a like a fire hydrant or something.
I would make it one of those situations where it's like, I'm going to let you off with a warning, but the price of that warning is another warning. Fix your fucking chicken. Go.
I love. Well, this is called a callback. I'm going to point that out every week when we do a callback. But KFC is definitely one of those places. I like their food, but every time I eat it, I regret it for like the next 3 days. Like,
It's a very much a 3 day weekend. I quit kind of
yeah, like I know I'm
food.
not
Like
leaving my
you,
house. I'm playing games all weekend. KFC.
yeah, get a bucket of that fucking horrible food and chow down. I can eat KFC, but for how much it costs,
Yeah.
and they're offering more affordable deals and stuff here and there, but honestly, I like my grocery stores make better fried chicken, and I easily prefer theirs.
One thing I noticed with KFC is like years and years ago, it was great because you could go there. They don't like, or they didn't at the time, bundle drinks into their like combos or whatever, but that made them cheap. And that's where they made up their money because they're like, oh, we can sell this cheap chicken and then sell you an $8 Coke. And but if you were getting it to take it home, screw the drink. I don't need that. At some point, they just like made all of it really expensive. And now, like you said, I think they're kind of like they realized that nobody was eating there anymore because it cost too much, and they're kind of backing off that. I just saw your Skype connection warning pop up, so I'm going to rate this call poorly at the end
Yeah,
because Skype wants to poll me every time we do a call. Like, what was your experience? How many stars would you give it?
yeah. It's starting to drag out here and cut out, and you sound like an Autobot. So
And
I mean, we
joystick
did
in
kind of a late show today.
disguise.
We could probably,
Yeah, I'm going to eat because we've been talking about food all show
yeah.
too.
I need to get. Yeah, I'm fucking hungry. So, I don't know if I can do these plugs. I don't know if the connection will hold, but check us out at enjoystick.com, at enjoystick on Twitter, at phaser3d for Steve, at BP Matlock for me. We'll be back next week with more Joystick Cast Live podcast. Cast.